Welcome Japanese woodblock print collectors and enthusiasts. Ando Hiroshige was probably one of the most famous Japanese woodblock print artists. But did you know there were 3 Hiroshiges? In today's video, we're going to track down the story behind Hiroshiges 1, 2, and 3. And we'll also compare their styles by reviewing some of their most famous work. Let's begin. I think it was this iconic print of the Asakusa rice fields from Hiroshige's series 100 Famous Views of Edo that first got me into the love, study, and collecting of woodblock prints. It was like nothing I'd seen before. The modern clean lines, the perspective, the composition, and subject matter, and to think it was made in 1857, it just blew me away. The man we know as Ando Hiroshige was born in Edo, with the name Ando Tokutaro in 1797. He came from a samurai background. His father worked as a fire warden at Edo Castle. Ando took over the fire warden job when his father died in 1809. He was only 12 years old. Fortunately, there weren't many fires and he had a lot of free time. At age 14, he began painting. He tried to join the Utagawa school and become a student of Toyokuni, but he had too many students, so Ando became a student of Toyohiro instead. When he was an apprentice, he studied the styles of many different schools, like the Chinese school, realistic school, and Western perspective. In 1812, he started to sign his work, Hiroshige. In 1823, Hiroshige passed the job of fire warden on to his brother, and he became a full-time artist. Now let's look at the Hiroshige family tree. In the 1820s, Hiroshige married his first wife, who was also of samurai descent. They had a son named Nakajiro. In 1832, Hiroshige took his first journey from Edo to Kyoto along the Tokaido Road. In 1839, his first wife died, and 8 years later, he married Yasu, a 16-year-old farmer's daughter. Yasu's brother was a priest, but he was banished for having an affair. So Hiroshige adopted his wife's brother's daughter, Tatsu, in 1851. Tatsu married Hiroshige's best student, Shigenobu, who became Hiroshige II when Hiroshige died in 1858. Unfortunately, their marriage was rocky and they separated. And then Tatsu married Shigemasa, another of Hiroshige's students, who became Hiroshige III when Shigenobu died. Here you can see a timeline of the 3 Hiroshiges. Now let's take a look at some examples of their most famous work. Ando Hiroshige had some 8,000 print designs in his lifetime, so it's very difficult to choose from among them. But 2 of his most famous series were the 53 Stages of the Tokaido and 100 Famous Views of Edo. Starting with the 53 Stations of the Tokaido, which was done in 1833. This series launched his fame as an artist. I like to think of these prints as snapshots of the important scenes along the Tokaido Road. What makes these landscapes special is that Hiroshige captured the landscapes along with the common people of Japan, really depicting the connection between the common man and nature. He also did this with a warmth and empathy towards the people and a respect toward the beauty and power of nature. Take, for example, Shono, where these travelers are caught in a rainstorm. You can see the forest of trees being bent by the rain and the travelers hurrying along the slope trying to protect themselves. This print of Fuji-Eda shows porters getting ready for a journey, but these aren't stiff, stereotyped characters. See how he's added personality in their faces and really communicated the hustle of their livelihood. In this scene of Mishima, once again he captures the common travelers and their unique personalities. But also, look at the background and how he creates these layers of visibility and depth through the morning fog. In this print of Hakone, he depicts this beautiful lush mountain and lake below. Fuji is way off in the distance, and it's easy to miss, but see the travelers trekking up the mountain pass. After the immense popularity of his first Tokaido series, Hiroshige went on to do over 20 more series based on the Tokaido theme. The second series I want to show you is from 100 Famous Views of Edo. This is the table of contents listing all the prints by season. This series was done in 1856, so it came at the very end of Hiroshige's career. Like the Tokaido, this is a landscape series, but it's a vertical format instead of horizontal. Let's start with Fukagawa. In this dramatic print, we see an eagle ready to swoop down and catch its prey. The snow-covered marshes and houses are in the distance. In this series, many of the prints use this convention of having a large object in the foreground and a distant view in the background. This use of perspective is really powerful. Here are some more examples. Kamaedo, this view of the cherry tree, heavily influenced the French Impressionists. Here's another example, Shirobashi, where this carp kite is being flown at a boys' festival. And this print of the famous temple at Asakusa. Hiroshige also did traditional landscape prints in this series, like the sudden shower over Shin Ohashi and fireworks at Ryogoku Bridge. No one was better at creating these powerful, atmospheric, yet intimate landscapes than Hiroshige. Alright, now let's move on to Hiroshige II, or Shigenobu. He was his master's best student, and the one that emulated his themes and style the most. In fact, it's sometimes hard to tell the difference between the two. Here's the title sheet for 36 views of the Eastern Capital done in 1863. Here is one of the prints from that series, Kinryuzan Temple in Asakusa. You can see he adopted that same perspective approach that his master did. Here's another one from that series, Fishing Boats at Tsukuda Island. And this one is called The Ferry at Yoroi. You can see how his composition and themes are very similar to Hiroshige. Another one of Hiroshige II's famous landscape series is 100 Views of Various Provinces, done in 1859. Here is one of my favorites, Whaling at Goto. This is 7 Mile Beach in Sagami Province. And lastly, Kintai Bridge at Iwakuni. All very beautiful and displaying a mastery of the medium. And now on to Shigemasa, or Hiroshige III. In 1868, he published a series called Famous Places in Tokyo. This was another vertical series that was close in style and theme to his predecessors. Here is Tomigaoka Hachiman Shrine. We can see that the familiar elements of the composition are there. The people, there's some use of perspective and the landscape, but it has a flatness and stiffness to it. Here is Shinobazu Pond. And here is the year-end fair at Kinryuzan Temple. Another series Hiroshige III was known for was pictures of famous products of Japan. These are more like book illustrations than artistic prints. Here is Catching Yellowtail. This one is Exporting Tangerines. And here is Inside of the Gold Mine. One thing to note is that Hiroshige III does depict the westernization of Japan in many of his prints. Here's a couple more. The Garden of the Hotel Building and the Eyeglasses Bridge. So now we've seen just a small selection of these three artists' work, and believe me, I could talk for ages about any of them. but I think we can tell that Ando Hiroshige is the master. Hiroshige II is an artist in his own right and most closely aligned with Ando Hiroshige's style and inspiration. Hiroshige III is a competent illustrator and a chronicler of his time, but in my opinion, he falls far short of Hiroshige I and II's creative artistry. Here are a couple of additional comparisons I want to show you. The first is how the three Hiroshiges depicted the same location. This is Hachiman Shrine, with Hiroshige I on the left, Hiroshige II in the middle, and Hiroshige III on the right. The second comparison is the three Hiroshiges' approach to depicting people. Starting with Ando Hiroshige, his style is relatable. They are somewhat caricatures, but they belong in the scene. We have empathy to what they are doing and feeling in the moment. They are individuals. Hiroshige II, on the other hand, his people are stiffer, less expressive, more distant, like actors plunked down in a scene. When we get to Hiroshige III, the scenes may be visually interesting, but the people are cardboard cutouts, placed to complete the narrative. The artistic legacy begun by Ando Hiroshige back in 1833 with his first Tokaido series provided us not only with beautiful interpretations of Japan at that time, but also deep insight into the culture, the people, and their connection with nature. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.